Hi guys, welcome to Classic TV Facts and Trivia. I've been looking for one on her for a while. Finally found something. See where the cast of Hazel went after the sitcom ended. And we'll start with, of course, Shirley Booth as Hazel. And the Grammy Awards had been around for more of Booth's career. She almost certainly would have been an Emmy winner. The Grammys were not awarded until 1959 when Booth was past the most musical years as a performer. But as she certainly did take home her share of Hollywood accolades, winning 3 Tony Awards, an Oscar, and for her work as the title housekeeper, 2 Emmys. Among her Hazel highlights, she won Tonys for Goodbye, Mr. Fancy, A Comeback, Little Sheba, and The Time of the Cuckoo, and had made her Broadway debut with co-star Humphrey Bogart in 1925 production of Hell's Bells. She also starred in a Broadway adaptation of the novel A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and a performance as Sissy Spacek. As Aunt Sissy was so beloved that her character was made the focus of the musical. Meanwhile, she also starred in another adaptation, the film version of her own hit stage production of Comeback Little Sheba, in which Burt Lancaster played her husband, and Booth won a Best Actress Oscar and Golden Globe. She also starred in several radio dramas and gave critical performances in the movies about Mrs. Leslie, Hot Spell, and The Matchmaker, and then turned her attention to television in the starring role as Hazel Burke. Hazel, based on a comic character of the same name by Ted Key and featured in Saturday Night Evening Post, was the live-in housekeeper of the Baxter family, attorney Dad George, interior decorator Mom Dorothy, son Harold, and dog Smiley. Down-to-earth Hazel is warm, friendly, and completely devoted to the care of the Baxters in their home, a wonderful cook and caretaker, but what some might call a know-it-all. George certainly thought she was, but the thing was, she usually did know it all. Hazel would fix any issue involving any problem, make any situation better on the sitcom-friendly half hour, minus commercials. She made her final Broadway appearance in a 1970 revival of the Noel. After the final season of Hazel, Booth combined her love of performing on the stage and TV with multiple episodes of CBS Playhouse, earning an Emmy nomination for her performance in The Glass Menagerie. She made her final Broadway appearance in a 1970 revival at the Noel Coward comedy Hay Fever, and her final TV role was voicing Mrs. Claus in the 1974 made-for-TV Rankin Bass stop-motion animated classic The Year Without a Santa Claus, with the Heat Miser and Snow Miser and Mickey Rooney voicing Santa. Booth, who was a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame, died in 1992 at the age of 94 at her home in Massachusetts. Don DeForest George Baxter. Before he was the Big Papa on Hazel, he is best known for playing Thorny, the Nelsons' neighbor, on the classic ABC comedy The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, for which he was nominated in 1955 for a supporting Emmy. Coincidentally, he was also the president at the time of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, the Emmy organization. He was largely responsible for the first Emmy ceremony to be broadcast on national television in 1955 and was also on board of the Screen Actors Guild and became Hazel, the role which he became best known. DeFore, who had studied to be an attorney before turning his attention to acting, actually took over the role after the Hazel pilot, in which the character named Edward Andrews played George. When NBC greenlit the show to series, DeFore took over, playing the foil to Booth's ever-charming housekeeper. George was a big shot at work, but he rarely won a war of wills with Hazel, who affectionately referred to him as Mr. B. The two actors had infectious chemistry, as did DeFore and his TV wife Whitney Blake. After his time in the cast of Hazel ended, after the show's 4th season, DeFore had also worked in radio and movies, became a frequent TV guest star, including in episodes of My Three Sons, Mod Squad, Mannix, The Love Boat, Vegas, Matt Houston, Murder, She Wrote, and St. Elsewhere. His last movie was a 1984 drama, Rare Breed, which he was directed by David Nelson, DeFore's fellow adventures of Ozzie and Harriet star as the title star's son. He also once owned a restaurant, DeFore's Silver Banjo Barbecue, inside Frontierland at Disneyland, and was married to his wife, singer Marion Holmes, for 51 years. Judy Garland was their matron of honor at their wedding and had 5 children. One of his sons, Ron, wrote a book growing up in Disneyland that was part of autobiography and part biography of his father, who died in 1993 in Santa Monica at the age of 80. Whitney Blake as Dorothy Baxter. Whitney Blake, whose father was a Secret Service agent who guarded President Woodrow Wilson and his family, guest starred in the first episode of the 1957 Perry Mason series. Playing a waitress, Perry Mason defended against charges she was murdered a con man. She followed with that lineup more TV guest roles on Maverick, Rawhide, Gunsmoke, and Bonanza, which led her to her role in the cast of Hazel. Her Dorothy was much more in tune with Hazel, not only because she respected Hazel's common sense point of view on things, but also because she had a deep affection for Hazel, who had been the housekeeper for Dorothy's family after Dorothy's mom died when she was 14. Hazel referred to Dorothy as Missy. Blake, whose real-life first husband was also named Baxter, saw on-screen roles winding down after she and the four were let go of Hazel when NBC canceled the series after its fourth season, and CBS picked it up for a fifth and final season. She returned to get TV guest appearances on The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Batman, The Andy Griffith Show, Love American Style, Cannon, Medical Story, and Ironside. But Blake, who had married her third husband, Alan Mannings, in 1968, together with Mannings and Norman Lear, created and wrote the CBS sitcom One Day at a Time. Blake had used her experience as a single mom as an inspiration for the stories on One Day at a Time. Blake was also a single parent to two sons and a daughter, Meredith, who went on to become Emmy-nominated Meredith Baxter. She played Mom Elise on the classic NBC comedy Family Ties, which also launched the career of Michael J. Fox. Guest star Whitney and Meredith worked together on an episode of the 76 and 80 ABC family drama Family, which was the breakout project for both Meredith and Christy McNichol. And then we, of course, have Bobby Buntrock as Harold. Bobby Buntrock began his career at age 7, guest starring on an episode of TV Western Wagon Train, followed by appearances on Mr. Ed, The Donna Reed Show, Burke's Law, Many Happy Returns, and The Farmer's Daughter. Played young Harold Baxter for all 5 seasons of Hazel, and was usually the only child on the set, with Hazel finally referring to him as Sport. After Hazel ended, Buntrock appeared on 3 episodes of the TV Western The Virginian, and then retired to enjoy the rest of his life outside Hollywood. Tragically, he died in a car crash at the age of 21 in 1974 in South Dakota. I'd never really heard of this show until, I don't know, several years ago. I went over to my mom's house and she was watching it, and it's amazingly funny. It's hilariously funny, actually. Can't remember her name. Shirley Booth, who played Hazel, is just really, really funny. Great actress, great actress. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please don't forget to subscribe if you did. Please like this video if you did. Have a great day. God bless you. And I'm praying for you.